afternoon, welcome back to the dyno room. Today we've got this lovely example of a Westfield with a 2 litre Zetec silver top in it. Basically this car came to us, he was looking to have his DCOE carburetors checked over and tuned if possible. So we did have them on there. They were misfiring, they had air leaks, they were out of balance. We'd balanced them only 100 miles ago, they dropped out of balance again. So as with all these things, as good as DCOEs are, we decided that it might be better if you put a set of bike carbs on there for the time being. Eventually he wants to go fuel injection, so we said in the meantime, rather than spending hours and hours of dyno time on the DCOEs, let's just slap a set of our bike carbs on. We've got most of it in stock, and just get it running for the summer, and then he can swap it all out for fuel injection in the future. He's a friend of mine, so he's quite happy to do that. He's local, so we can accommodate that. So as part of that, we have pulled out the old Weber Alpha ECU, which was standard fit on a lot of Westfields. The reason we did that was because we can't actually access that ECU, it's locked, and we couldn't get the TPS. If we unplugged the TPS from the DCOEs and ran it in 2D, it lost a lot of ignition advance, so we got no way around that really. So we took the opportunity, so we pulled the DCOEs off, there we go. He'll get some pretty pennies for those. People still want them, people still love them. So this lot can be sold as a package for somebody who can be bothered to spend the time trying to set them up. Meanwhile, we've gone for a simple set of R1 carburetors, usual bike carbs, nothing new about that, you've seen it all before. But the exciting part about all this video is that we have the latest generation Nodiz Gen X from Motorsport Electronics. This is the very first unit out of Motorsport Electronics. They've given us it to test, and this is an ideal test engine. So that was part of the brief really. We'll do a bit of a video on it and go over some of the features. So as good as the previous Nodiz was, this has got some significantly better features, namely that it uses their Mighty software, just like the ME221 and ME100. So there's a whole host of motorsport features in there, much better. You can also have an upgraded version that will do the VVT on the ST170 and various other engines. We've got a fully waterproof case, which I'm sure you will agree looks very attractive. Much nicer motorsport connector there as well. So yeah, fully waterproof, can go in the engine bay right where it is there on this Westfield, so it doesn't matter if it gets a little bit damp there. We've got some diagnostic capabilities in Mighty as well, which you wouldn't have had in the Nodiz software previously. Spark scatter, more inputs and outputs, support for real dash, and various other features as well. So I just wanted to go over how simple this is to install for those people who are unsure about this sort of thing. Literally, we have a positive wire. We've protected it with a 20 amp fuse there. Okay, that's coming off the old power supply for the old Weber Alpha ECU. We've got a ground connection, okay? Live and ground. Ignition live, ground. That's all there is to it to power it up. Okay, we've got a coil connection. Standard Ford stuff. 3-pin coil connection. Can't really go wrong with it. Standard Ford coil pack that was already on there. Nothing to it at all. And the final connection is a throttle position sensor, which is on the end of the R1 carburetors, which gives it load sensing, so that'll allow us to map it in 3D. Literally, that is all the connections you need. You can't really go wrong with it. So as simple as that is, it fired up first time. Okay, we have the Mighty software. If I just switch the ignition on, connect to the ECU. We've not got any temperature readings because we're not running temperature sensors, but you can do if you want to. We've got an ignition map in there. There's a start menu, all done, all calibrated, and we're ready to start some mapping, but it is literally that simple. And of course, as with any bike carbs and Nodiz, fires straight up, no choke, engine's not even that warm, idles nicely, no problem at all. So we'll get some mapping done on the ignition, we'll check the jetting, and we'll see what it'll do. So, after a bit of mapping of the ignition timing and a little bit of rejetting of the carburetors, we have achieved 152 brake horsepower and 145 foot-pound of torque, which is pretty reasonable for a 2 litre silver top Zetec. The black tops tend to do a little bit more. We tend to see a little bit over 160 on a black top, but yeah, we're happy with that. That's quite a considerable gain. It did 136 on the DCOEs and the Weber management. Now the DCOEs weren't tuned properly, but as with all DCOEs, they tend to fall out of tune every 5 minutes, so rather than waste time trying to get those to run for 10 minutes and then go out of tune, we just opted to swap it out, put the set of R1 bicarbs on there, pipe across filter, and of course the Nodiz Gen X, which is an absolutely fantastic bit of kit. Like I say, 3 plug-in connections, power it up and away you go. It was preloaded with a base mat for the Zetec, so no messing about. So yeah, the Nodiz Pro Generation X will be available very soon. This is a prototype, like I say, we're just doing some testing on it, make sure all's good. Motorsport Electronics have been extensively testing it as well, and that will be available very soon for the standard Zetec. Like I say, it'll also have an upgrade for the ST170 to run the VVT and all the rest of it. So yeah, get yourself a Gen X Nodiz Pro.